Hi everyone, it's Anthony here from Anthony's Hobby Corner, and today I figured I'll start a quick series of videos focused on locomotive reviews. So what I plan to do is review some locomotives that I actually have in my collection, talk about the history of the locomotive, perhaps a configuration, etc., and then talk about the model itself. Okay, so the locomotive I've chosen to review today is this locomotive that we have here, and this locomotive is referred to as an Re460 or Re460. This is a locomotive that was built by the Swiss Federal Railways, but it was actually built by Swiss Locomotive and Machine Works in collaboration with Essaya Brown Boveri, or otherwise known as ABB, which is perhaps most of you know is a famous robotics and electrical machinery company. So it was a combined venture between those two entities. Now, this was also a locomotive that was introduced as part of the Rail 2000 project, and hence you'll see the 2000 here in the front of the locomotive. That was basically launched by the Swiss Federal Railways to improve the rail network. Now, this specific locomotive, the Re460, was built between 1991 and 1996, I believe. Now, it was originally intended for multi-purpose use. However, it was soon designated to haul passenger cars, especially the InterCity cars that were the single-deck and double-deck cars. Another reason I like this locomotive is because it has an interesting design element behind this locomotive. If you notice, this locomotive has a very sleek design, somewhat more of an automotive flavor behind it. Well, the reason is because Swiss Locomotive and Machine Works and ABB, when they were designing and building this locomotive, they commissioned the famous coach design house of Pininfarina to design the shell of this locomotive. Now, those of you who are automotive buffs will know that Pininfarina has been famous for designing many vehicles like the Ferraris, the Maserati Quattroportes, Fiats, etc., and has a unique, iconic design to their products. And so this locomotive is fairly unique because it actually was designed by an automotive design house. So between 1991 and 1996, there were a total of 121 of these units that were manufactured, out of which 119 of them were for Swiss Federal Railways, and then 2 of them were for MTR. Now, obviously, unfortunately, in 1999, Swiss Federal Railways actually split into a passenger and a freight division, and the freight division became SBB Cargo. Now, soon as SBB Cargo was created, I believe about 39 of these locomotives were handed over to SBB Cargo. However, once they realized that these locomotives were designed to hit top speeds of 200 kilometers per hour, the entire fleet was handed back over to the passenger division, I believe around the 2005 time frame. You'll also notice that on the sides there are some very large flat panels, and these were designed such that it would make room for commercial advertising on these locomotives. So they were obviously thinking ahead for additional revenue streams besides the obvious. And so you will see many variants of this locomotive, some that have the AGFA advertising on the side, some that have the ROCO rail, and so on and so forth, different ads on them. And in fact, I believe that this is the loco in Switzerland which carries the most amount of livery variants due to the advertising. Now, this locomotive belongs to the Swiss Federal Railways, but you'll wonder why it has the three different acronyms there of SBB, CFF, and FFS, and that really is resonates the fact that in Switzerland they recognize three different official languages: German, i.e., SBB, French, i.e., CFF, and Italian, i.e., FFS. And I'll put the actual explanation of the acronyms on the screen. Okay, so some specs about the locomotive. As I mentioned before, its top speed is approximately 200 kilometers per hour. Its continuous horsepower is approximately 7,500 or 5,600 kilowatts. And it is obviously, as you can see, it's a Bobo configuration, and it runs on a 15 kilovolt AC catenary system. Now, the brakes for this locomotive, it's obviously has air brakes on it, but it also has regenerative brakes as well. All right, so let's move over to the model. So the model I have here today in front of you is a ROCO Re460. It's a beautiful locomotive. It's extremely heavy and well designed and well built. It is a 5-pole skew-wound motor with dual flywheels inside, and obviously directional lighting. And you'll see the light comes on at the top here based on which direction it's facing forward. It's very good details on this locomotive, and the build quality is just phenomenal. The pantographs are recessed appropriately inside within this to have a sleek aerodynamic feature, and with one press they do actually extend out as well, and they are active catenary systems, so you can actually utilize the catenary system if you want to power up the locomotive, the model as well. Okay, so next let's just check the weight of this locomotive. I've got a mini scale here, and let's just take a look at the weight for a second. Turn the scale on. Okay, so the locomotive weighs 561 grams, and that's 19.79 ounces or 1.25 pounds. So that's a pretty good weight, which will probably give you really good traction and long consist hauls of the locomotive. Okay, so as I mentioned before, these locomotives were typically seen with the InterCity passenger cars. They were originally hauling the single-deck intercity cars, and then they progressed over to hauling the double-deck Rail 2000 or IC 2000 double-deck cars. And so the cars that I've been able to secure for this locomotive are the single deck cars, and so these are the ones I have here. I thought I'll share them with you as well. So this is a typical Swiss Rail intercity car, single deck. You can see it's a first class car, and some really good detail on this one as well. And this is also built by ROCO, and the details underneath are, if you can see there, is also really good. And what I've done with these is that I've actually alternated the couplers. On one side I've got a KD, on the other side I got the typical standard ROCO coupler. This way I can haul these with either a KD or a ROCO coupling. So here's a first class car, and I have a rake of five of these cars, and here is another one. This is a second class car, I believe. That's also by ROCO. And this is also another second class car, also by ROCO. And this is a restaurant car by ROCO as well. And you can see there's the tables and the table lamps inside, if you can catch it on camera. And I do have one more car from Markland. Now this one has a slight different variant. It's got the gray livery to it as opposed to the white and red, but it's a second class car that was also hauled by these locomotives. So there's a ROCO 5. Alright, so next what I'll do is I'll put this on the layout and we can see the locomotive and ROCO passenger cars running. Well, okay, so here we are at the layout. It's nowhere close to completion, but in any case, let's just do a quick run here of the Re460 and the IC Swiss passenger cars. So here they are. Here's the full rake of them. Okay. Okay, so let's get this thing going here. Okay. Hope you enjoyed that. to bring it to a stop. There it is, with the full rake of passenger cars. Alright, well, thank you for watching and hope you enjoyed the video.